Hello students, welcome to the video lessons of University Physics, Electricity and Magnetism. This lecture is about electromagnetic waves. This is the second lecture of this chapter, electromagnetic waves. That is your chapter 32. And this is the lecture 18 of this lecture series. So, this is the, you can say, the last lecture of this chapter, and this is the last lecture of this lecture series. In this lecture, I'll deliver about plane electromagnetic waves and speed of light. In the last lecture, I have given you a brief idea about the electromagnetic wave and what is an electromagnetic wave and how electric field or magnetic field are transposed to each other in an electromagnetic wave, and the direction of propagation is perpendicular to both electric field and magnetic field. So that is, your electromagnetic wave is transverse in nature. The light and all the radiations are electromagnetic waves, and all the electromagnetic waves, irrespective of their frequency and wavelength, travel with the velocity c, that is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second in vacuum. So that means if you consider the radiations, they may have different wavelengths, different frequencies, and the frequencies and wavelengths, they vary over a long range. Because if you compare the speed of visible light, the frequency of visible light or the wavelength of visible light, this is of the order of your 4000 Armstrong to 7000 Armstrong. Infrared, even the wavelength is more. But if you compare X-rays or gamma rays, the wavelength is very small, of the order of few Armstrongs. But when you consider their speed, all travel with the speed of 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second in vacuum. So this is one important feature of the electromagnetic wave. Now let us discuss how a plane electromagnetic wave satisfy all the Maxwell's electromagnetic equations. So here plane electromagnetic wave means we'll consider the electric field is only along a particular direction and the magnetic field is only along a particular direction, and obviously the direction of propagation is perpendicular to the both. This is your plane electromagnetic wave. So here we'll discuss plane electromagnetic wave and speed of light. So let us consider an electromagnetic wave, and you assume that the electric field A has only y component. As I have told you, in a plane wave, we'll consider that the electric field is confined to a particular direction. That means it has only y component, and a magnetic field B only with z component. So obviously, what is the direction of propagation of the wave? It is along x direction. We'll consider the vacuum. So it will propagate with a speed c. So here, this is the figure. This is the electric field direction, and this is the magnetic field. This is your y direction. This is your uh, z direction, and this is your propagation x direction. All are perpendicular to each other, x, y, z. Just for the understanding, we have considered as if consider a rectangular box. This is x, this is y, this is z. Yeah, this box is considered just to show that how your Gauss law and uh, Gauss law in electrostatics and Gauss law in magnetostatics are verified. Then you also consider Faraday's law and Ampere's law. So as here the electric field is the same on the top and bottom sides. If you consider this is the top side, and the same as bottom side. So what is the net flux? So net flux would be equal to 0. E dot ds if you consider, and this flux and this flux. So when you consider the net flux is 0. Similarly, if you consider net electric flux, similarly if you consider the magnetic field is the same on the left and right sides of the surface. So the total magnetic flux also 0. So that means from the figure, it is quite clear that so net flux is 0 and the net electric flux is 0 and the net magnetic flux is 0. Okay. Now let us come to the Gauss law of electrostatics. What is Gauss law of electrostatics? The net flux through this surface would be what? 1 by epsilon 0 times the net charge enclosed. And what is Gauss law of magnetostatics? The net magnetic flux linked through a closed surface is 0. So it is satisfied because your net magnetic flux is 0. Now comes to the net electric flux. From the beginning, we have considered that the wave propagates in vacuum. So obviously this box contains no charge. So what should be the net electric flux? So this is equal to 0. So that means your Gauss law of electrostatics is satisfied and also magnetostatics is satisfied. Here, briefly, I have mentioned the same thing. First, Maxwell's first and second equation. Okay, so if you have remembered in the last chapter, we have discussed the Maxwell's electromagnetic equations. First equation I have mentioned Gauss law of electrostatics, E dot ds is q by epsilon 0. Second I have mentioned P dot ds equal to 0. So these are considered as Maxwell's first and second equations. So as the electric and magnetic fields are perpendicular to each other at every instant and also perpendicular to the direction of propagation, Gauss line electric field and Gauss line magnetic field are satisfied. Let me explain this because when you consider these surface and this surface, what you are considered, the electric field is the same on the top and bottom sides of the Gaussian surface, so the total electric flux to the surface is 0. But if you consider this surface and this surface also, when you consider E dot ds, it is automatically 0. E dot ds, it is 0 because you know that it is perpendicular, it is only along uh, y direction. So your Gauss law is satisfied. Now let us come to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic equation, which is your Maxwell's third relation. What is that? E dot dl integration is equal to what? Minus d phi b by dt. What is phi b? The magnetic flux. That means here E dot dl integration is equal to rate of change of magnetic flux. So here this thing also we have been, it is discussed. So now let us consider Faraday's law. So here as we'll find out, we have to find out E dot dl integration. So you have to find a path. So let us apply this to a rectangle EFGH parallel to XY plane. So this point is very much important. Let us consider a rectangle EFGH in XY plane, or you can say parallel to XY plane as shown in the figure. So the figure in the next slide, the figure you see. So these rectangle, these you can say these are wave fronts. You know that wave fronts. So that means the wave propagates in the term of wave fronts. What is a wave front? The locus of all the points vibrating at same pitch. So these are the wave fronts. Suppose the wave is propagating along positive x-axis. So up to this the wave is propagating. Now just consider a rectangle EFGH. As wave is propagating, your electric field exits and magnetic field exits. So now apply the Faraday's law. First find out E dot dl. What is E dot dl? Then let us find out what is d phi by dt. So find E dot dl along this path EF, FZ, GH, HE. So what will be the value? Now let us first consider EF. So here she, we are showing 1, 2, 3, 4 wavefront. Yeah, the wave is propagating like this. So this is the wavefront, means the wave is propagating up to this point. This is very important. Imagine this, because in the two-dimensional figure it is very difficult to explain. So you imagine the wave is propagating. So up to this it's propagating. That means up to this E exists. Okay. So when you take the integration, suppose we are taking this counterclockwise like this, E F Z H. So here what is the value of electric field? So as up to this the wave is propagating. So here in this case the value of electric field is 0. The value of electric field is 0. So here it is mentioned another view, E is 0, B is 0, because here there is no electric field and no magnetic field, but because the wave is up to this point, the wave is propagating. So you can say the wavefront has progressed partway through the rectangle, that means up to this, and this part the wavefront has not covered. So here E is 0, E means electric field, and magnetic field is 0. So when you take the E dot dl, so along this path, you can take E dot dl means E dot dl along the path E to F plus E dot dl along the path F to G, then G to H, then S to E. So that means as E is 0, so along this path your E dot dl is 0 along this path. Now come to FC. Okay, and what is the direction of E? It is along y axis, this is along X. So what is E dot dl? So here E and dl, they are perpendicular to each other. Yeah, this part E is 0. But if you consider this part, your E is not 0. But E dot dl is 0 as E and dl are perpendicular to each other. Okay. So now consider this path GH. Okay. So GH, E exists and E and dl are anti-parallel to each other. They are in opposite direction. So it is not equal to 0. So this exists, E dot dl. Now this part S to E. Here also in this part E is 0, but this part E is not 0. But again your E and dl are perpendicular to each other. So that means if you consider this H, E, E, F, F, Z, through this part either your E is 0 or E dot dl is 0. So what is E dot dl integration if you take? Only E into this length, but it is negative, because if you write this is what E, this integration of dl, suppose this side is your taken as A, so E A cos theta, your theta is pi, so this is minus EA. Is it clear? So why it is minus EA? Because the direction, if E is given, this is this direction and A is along this direction. So they are anti-parallel to each other. So E dot dl integration is minus E into A. So only the side GH contributes to the integral of electric field, and as E and dl are opposite to each other, these you can take as minus E into A. Is that clear? Now what is your E dot dl integration? So now you can write E dot dl integration along the rectangle EFGH is your minus E into A. Yeah, here also you can see only this path. Along this path it is 0, along this path it is 0, and this path E is 0. This is A, but E is 0, so only this. Because why it is A? Because you have taken this side as A. Okay, so now E dot dl integration is minus E into A. Now let us find out what is d phi by dt. That is mentioned E dot dl is minus E into A. So to find your d phi by dt, first find out what is phi b electric flux and how it is changing. So during a time interval dt, the wavefront moves a distance of c dt to the right, sweeping out an area AC dt of the rectangle EFGH. So now go to this figure. Wavefront is moving. Okay. Suppose it is moving from this point to this point, it is mentioned in time dt. Because I have told you that the wavefront is up to this point. Okay. So what is the speed of the wavefront? Speed of the wavefront means this is the speed of the wave. So it is c. So if it is c, what is this length? C into dt. And what is the area? Extra area it sweeps out. Because already this value is c into dt. We have taken this as a. It should be clear. This is c into dt. This is a. So what is the area? Because we have considered from this point to this point. So in time dt, it sweeps a area of ca into dt. Okay. So now here, one thing it should be clear that your b is not changing. Which is changing? The area is changing. So what is d phi b? D phi b is what? B into dA. So within that area, if the flux is d phi b, what is d phi b? Magnetic field is B. So B into Ca dt or AC dt. So what is the rate of change in magnetic flux? This is d phi b by dt, which is equal to BAC. So is that clear? So now from the figure, we found that your d phi b by dt is BAC. Okay. But what is your Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? This is your E dot dl integration. E dot dl integration is equal to minus d phi b by dt. But what is your d phi b by dt? D phi b by dt is equal to BAC. So now if you equate, your minus EA should be minus BAC because it is minus EA is equal to what? Minus d phi b by dt, so minus BAC. Now AA cancels, so E equal to B into C. This is nothing but the electromagnetic wave in vacuum. This is proved. When you consider an electromagnetic wave, the ratio of magnitude of electric field to magnitude of magnetic field is equal to speed of light. So E equal to C. That means your electromagnetic wave satisfies your Faraday's law. So what you are getting? E equal to CB from Faraday's law. Okay. So then now come to your Ampere circuit law. Yeah. What is Ampere circuit law? If you remember Ampere's law first, before going to the modified form, it is what B dot dl is mu 0 IC. IC is the conduction current, mu 0 times the net current through the surface bounded by this circuit or bounded by the closed path. So this is B dot dl around a closed path is equal to mu 0 IC. But later it is modified, taking into consideration the displacement current. So when displacement current is taken into consideration, we are writing B dot dl integration is your mu 0 IC plus mu 0 ID, where ID is the displacement current. So recall the chapter displacement current. Your ID is what? Epsilon 0 del d phi E by dt, if you remember. We are taking a capacitor, and what is the displacement current? Obviously dq by dt. Q is the charge on the plates of the capacitor. So and you know that what is your EA? EA is Q by epsilon 0. So Q equal to A E epsilon 0. So dq by dt is what? A epsilon 0 dE by dt, which can be written as epsilon 0 d by dt of AE, and AE is nothing but the electric flux. So your displacement current is mu 0 epsilon 0 d phi by dt. But here, when I have written the Max Ampere's law, your conduction current is not included. And it is obvious Because in this case, your conduction current is zero. Your conduction current is zero because there is no charge. Okay, there is no charge. Yeah. So another thing is that here we have to apply this to this electromagnetic wave. So here we are taking the XZ plane. Previous case, while applying the Faraday's law, we are taking which plane? We are taking XY plane, but here we are taking XZ plane because the magnetic field is along Z axis we have taken. Okay. Now, like the previous case, let us find out the integration of B dot dl. Likewise, you are finding the integration of E dot dl. So this is your path. Yeah, this is your path. So this is, we are taking the integration along the rectangle EFGH. I have given the same name, but just imagine it is in XZ plane. And also here you see the wavefront, and in the region E to F, the electric field is zero, the magnetic field is zero. So when you take the integration along the path EF, your B is zero. Again from the path F to Z, B and DL are perpendicular to each other. But G to H, B is not zero and B and DL are antiparallel to each other. Again H to E, B and L are perpendicular to, DL are perpendicular to each other. So here also, what is B dot DL? B dot DL is here also, you can say this is equal to B into A. Yeah, sorry, here I have just comparing, I have uh, put something wrong here. This is the direction of B. Sorry, along this direction, B and DL, they are not antiparallel to each other because this is the outward. This is the Z axis, means outward direction. This is Z. So here B and L, they are parallel to each other. Here B and DL are anti-parallel, but here as B is 0, this is 0. So here, what is your B dot DL integration? So only the path GH contributes to the integral B dot DL, and as B and DL are parallel to each other, your B dot DL is equal to B into A integration. Now let us find out what is d phi by dt. So in the same process, you can find out d phi by dt. Let us the wave travels a distance of what? C dt. Okay, then what is the area? Then again the area is AC dt. Okay, so by the same principle, you can find out your d phi dt is equal to EAC, because you know that. What is phi? Phi is E dA. Here what is your dA? dA is AC dt. So d phi by dt is EAC. Now let us put the value. Here what is B dot dl? B dot dl is mu 0 epsilon 0 d phi by dt. So what is your here d phi e dt? So d phi by e dt is equal to EAC. Sorry, so yeah, just a minute. Just a minute, please wait. Here it is. You can write dA is equal to epsilon 0 mu 0 EAC. A cancel, so you can write B equal to epsilon 0 mu 0 C. But you have remember what you are getting. E equal to B into C. If you put this value, or your B equal to what? E by C. If you put in place of B E by C, then your E equal to what? Mu 0 epsilon 0 C square E. E cancel. So C square is how much? 1 by mu 0 epsilon 0. So that means the C square is equal to 1 by the product of permeability into product of permittivity. So C is 1 by root over mu 0 epsilon 0. If you put the value of mu 0, 4.10 to the power minus 7, and epsilon 0, 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12, and it is found to be approximately 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And these are experimentally verified also. So that means your Faraday's law and Ampere's circuital law, they all are satisfied in case of electromagnetic wave. And also using this, you can find what is the speed of light or speed of electromagnetic wave, which is equal to the speed of light, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Now, what are the properties of the most important properties, or you can say the key properties of electromagnetic wave? So, the most important point is already we have discussed. The electromagnetic wave is transverse in nature. So that is E and B are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of wave, and also the electric field and the magnetic field are perpendicular to each other. The direction of propagation is the direction of the vector product of E cross B, because this is the same as that of E and B are perpendicular to the direction of the propagation of the wave. And another important thing is that there is a definite ratio between the magnitudes of E and B, that is E equal to CB, where C is the velocity of light. Already we have discussed. E by B equal to C. The waves travel in vacuum with a definite and unchanging speed, irrespective of the the frequency and wavelength. Always its velocity is same, that is equal to the velocity of light, that you can say 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Unlike mechanical waves, electromagnetic waves doesn't require any medium to propagate. Because when you are considering mechanical waves, we are saying that the vibration is due to the repeated periodic motion of the particles of the medium. But your electromagnetic waves doesn't require any medium to travel. Yeah, they can travel in some mediums, but they doesn't require any medium to travel. They can travel in vacuum. And in vacuum, their speed is what? 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Accordingly, when there is a medium, the speed changes. So, this is all about your electromagnetic wave and speed of light. Yeah, we have given you a just simple idea about the electromagnetic wave and how it satisfies all the Maxwell's electromagnetic equations. Here, one thing also I want to tell you that, like your general waves, you can represent the electromagnetic wave in also sign form. How can you represent a general wave? Generally, you are representing a wave. Suppose you consider the wave function as fxt, which is a function of space and time. We can represent this as a sine omega t minus kx. When a wave is propagating along x direction, generally we are representing the wave as fxt, which is equal to a sine omega t minus kx. And what is omega? Angular frequency, which is 2 pi nu. Nu is the frequency of the wave. And what is k? It is known as the propagation constant, wave propagation vector, wave number. And when you represent this as a vector, it represents the direction of propagation. And its numerical value is 2 pi by lambda. So this should be valid for also your electromagnetic wave. So how can you represent an electromagnetic wave? Either you can represent in terms of E or in terms of B. But one thing you remember, whenever there is a electromagnetic wave, there is electric field and there is magnetic field. So we can represent here also E equal to E0. If E0 is the maximum value, then sine or cos kx minus omega t minus kx, omega t plus kx, depending upon the direction of propagation. Okay. Similarly, you can represent B. So now let us work out a problem. We have discussed so many things about electromagnetic waves. Now let us work out this problem. What is the problem? A carbon dioxide laser emits a sinusoidal electromagnetic wave that travels in vacuum in the negative x direction. Yeah, the wave travels in vacuum in the negative x direction. The wavelength is 10.6 micrometer and the electric field is parallel to z-axis. Here it is mentioned the electric field is along z-axis with E maximum. Because in this case, if you remember, I have told you from the beginning, when there is a time varying electric field and time varying magnetic field, energy is propagated. Time varying, or you can say oscillating. Oscillating electric field means what? It is having some maximum value, then decreases, then increases like this. So here, the maximum value of the electric field is 1.5 megavolt per meter. Or you can say this is the amplitude of the electric field. So write vector equations for E and B as functions of time and position. Obviously, as it is propagating in space, it is a function of position. As it is oscillating with time, it is a function of time. This is known to you. But how can you represent? Here, see, one thing is already given. E is along x direction. Sorry, the wave is propagating along negative x direction and the electric field is parallel to z-axis. Okay, so that means what should be the direction of B? You know that E, B and X, all X means here direction of propagation, all are perpendicular to each other. If wave is propagating along negative x-axis and your E is along Z, obviously your B is along y direction. B is along y direction. So if you represent ext, already it is given. So it should be direction wise. If you represent, this is k cap, as I have told you, E0 or E max cos kx plus omega t. Because generally when it is propagating along positive x-axis, you are representing omega t minus kx. So that's why here we are representing cos kx plus omega t. Similarly, how can you represent your bxt? B is along y direction. Y direction means j cap. So j cap be maximum cos kx plus omega t. So that means here E max is given. So what you have to find out? You have to find out what is k, what is omega, and what is V max. Then you can write the vector equations. So just we have discussed what? There is a relation between E and B, and always the ratio of E to B is a constant which equal to C. This is in vacuum. And here also the wave is propagating in vacuum. So what is your E maximum? So E maximum is your C into B maximum. Because if you write E equal to C into B, also you can write E maximum is C into B maximum. So what is the B maximum? E maximum by C. And E is given as 1.5 into 10 to the power 6 volt per meter. And the value of C is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And the value is coming to be 5 into 10 to the power minus 3 into t. So here, one thing I want to tell you that whenever we are discussing the light, I think you have read in the in your previous classes, that means about the waves, polarization waves, about the light waves, all which are considering electric vector. When you are considering polarization, the electric vector is confined to a particular direction. That means generally when we are talking about the electromagnetic wave, we are representing it by electric field. So sometimes question comes, why always you are representing it by electric field? And we are finding the electric field vector. I think from these you will be clear. Because your what is given? E maximum is, or E is C into B. So in an electromagnetic wave, generally the magnetic field magnitude is very small in comparison to electric field. As the magnetic field value is very small, so that's why generally we are representing the electromagnetic wave as electric field. Okay. Now let us come to the problem. So we are finding what is B maximum, then another is your K and omega. Already I have told you K is the numerical value of K is 2 pi by lambda. So 2 pi lambda is given 10.6 micrometer. So 10.6 into 10 to the power minus 6 meters. So 5.9 10 to the power 5 radian per second. What is omega? All of you know that omega is what? 2 pi nu. What is nu? C equal to nu lambda. So nu equal to C by lambda, and 2 pi by lambda is your K. So also you can write directly omega is equal to C into K. So 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second into 5.93 into 10 to the power 5 radian per second, which is equal to 1.78 to 10 to the power 14 radian per second. So K is now found out, and also omega. Then write down the equations. So ext you can write K cap E maximum cos, put the value of K 5.93 into 10 to the power 5 plus 1.78 10 to the power 14. Okay. Similarly, you can write B maximum value we have found it out. Then cos kx plus omega t. Now, it is a very simple problem. For an electromagnetic wave propagating through free space, calculate the frequency of the wave with a wavelength. Here the relation is very simple. You know that your frequency is C by lambda. Here one thing it should come to your mind, that whatever may be the wavelength, all travel in the same speed, that is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Then you can easily work out. So first case lambda is 30 Armstrong. So F equal to C by lambda, which is equal to 10 to the power 17 Hertz. Second case lambda equal to 300 Armstrong. So your F is 10 to the power 16 Hertz. Third case lambda is 3000 Armstrong. So F equal to 10 to the power 15 Hertz. Last lambda is 30 meter. So it is 10 to the power 7 Hertz. What you are observing? If lambda increases, your frequency decreases. So wavelength more means it is less energetic, wavelength less means it is more energetic. So your gamma rays, X-rays, they are very much energetic waves. Ultraviolet are more energetic in comparison to your visible light. So this is all about your chapter 32, about electromagnetic wave, how they travels, what is the nature of the electromagnetic wave. So everything we have discussed. So this is your last lecture of this lecture series. So all the video lectures of the chapter 27 to 32, they are completed. So go through all the lectures, go through all the problems, try to work out the problems by yourself, try to understand the concept. Then if you need doubt, you can write to me. Hope you like this. So this is the end of the lecture of this lecture series. Thank you. Bye.